Central Valley.
It's 5:16. We'll start this regular meeting. Would you please stand and recite the pledge with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'd also like to welcome everybody that's in the audience this evening. School boards, Jennifer, they're close to you. Would you like to read those, please?
Decisions will be based on the board's strategic plan, its mission, and what's best for students. The board will act as stewards of tax dollars. Board members will complete foundation work to be prepared for meetings. Meetings will be efficient. All perspectives will be voiced and heard. All board members will maintain a professional decorum.
Thank you. We have nothing under public communications. Any conflicts of interest to declare? Hearing none, moving to consent agenda. Motion to approve. Motion by Brenda, seconded by Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving into our regular agenda, we have nothing under recognition or correspondence. Moving to reports, we have the superintendent's report. Rob?
So you have my written report. I'll touch on just a few items. The Occupational Therapy Services Agreement. In the past, we've had this agreement. It's been approved through the Special Education Unit. I felt it was important, though, that it's something that also comes before the board. And just so you know, it is a long-standing agreement. We've had this agreement in place for a while, but I do believe it's prudent for you to formally approve it also. The Title I instructor for St. John's Academy. I wanted to outline this a little bit just because it may appear unusual that we would provide a Title I instructor for a private school. We do, though, have a responsibility because the position's funded, or because we receive Title I funds. It's a regulation that we have to provide equitable services with our Title I, so they get an allocation. The way the regulations work is we're required to hire that person, and so we would hold that contract, which we have in the past. Daphne Van Onen has served in that position before. And so I think it's one of those things that we brought a new staff person on, might have some questions about that. And so I just wanted to make sure that we're all under the same understanding. The process has worked well in the past, and I envision that it'll continue to work well moving forward. But if you have questions, please ask. Bus transition changes, I did outline a little bit of how our transition in the past, we've transitioned our bus students at Wilson Arena, and that will now be taking place at Two Rivers Activity Center parking lot. That location is, I think, very positive for us for a few reasons. Close to one of our elementary schools. We've worked out with track that with the drop-off, they would walk our Gustner students over in the morning, and our staff would walk the bus students back across in the afternoon, as well as the aftercare students that are going to the track aftercare. So it kind of works for both. And then that's one less stop that we would make. You know, if you think about it just logistically, if we ask that transition to happen, so that takes 10, 15 minutes, and then drive a quarter of a block over to Gustner and drop them off. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But so I think that's going to work really well for us. We appreciate the Jamestown Parks and Rec for working with us to provide that. And we also thank the University of Jamestown for their years of allowing us to do transition at the Wilson Arena also. If you look at if you've driven by Gustner Elementary, you will have noticed that there's some new playground equipment. So we want to recognize the Gustner PTO for putting that equipment up for us. So that it'll be a great addition to that area. I also want to recognize in the past we've had the Louis L'Amour PTO has also provided, donated some supplies and labor. They created a Gaga pit if you've been up there and you've seen that. So, you know, we appreciate our PTOs. We have a very active PTO community in Jamestown, and we appreciate that, all of the support that they give our families. And lastly, just wanted to recognize Sherbinski's. They donated the use of equipment. So with all of that equipment, it was around a $900 donation. So again, a lot of support in our community for our schools, and we appreciate that. If you look at the calendar change that I'm making a recommendation for, a 1-week change in our early dismissal day. It traditionally has been in that last Wednesday in September, and we're requesting that it actually be moved into the first Wednesday in October. There's a lot of staff that are already going to be gone. Doesn't make sense to have a professional development day when when a number of staff are gone. So we're going to move that if that's so approved. But we would share that out electronically through our app, through blast that out the best that we can and ensure that people recognize the changes. And I don't anticipate any issues with that, but wanted to make you aware of the rationale behind that recommendation. I also included a memo that we're sharing, or we have shared with our private education families regarding busing. The bottom line with busing is we're going to continue to do it as long as we can, but we do have a responsibility, I think, from a fiscal standpoint to decrease routes if we can, as we have been informing people, and to not increase routes if we're going that route. So we want to continue that relationship to bus kids, but there has to be space. And we did, as if you looked at the memo, we have been reaching out to those institutions for quite a period of time and trying to find a way to make that work. And that's still our ultimate goal. But at the end of the day, best case scenario is we don't have to make any changes and we can continue to do that. But if we do, we wanted people to know ahead of time that these are all possibilities. And the aid that we receive only partially covers the cost of transportation. So we wanted to make sure that we're spending our dollars wisely, and hopefully in the future we can be financial partners to make that a possibility. So if you have questions on that, I'm happy to respond. Okay. The last thing that I had, it's something over the next couple of days, and some of our schools may have already done it. One of the things that I've asked all of the principals in the buildings to do is go through a relationship mapping exercise. If you had a chance to look through that handout, I think it's a pretty interesting and effective process. But really what it's doing is taking each student in our district and looking at how are they connected to adults. That doesn't mean teachers necessarily. It's teachers, administrators, cooks, paras, whatever adult is in the building, and making sure that there's positive relationships with adults in every building. And if there isn't, essentially what this process does is you take every kid and you either put stickers or your markers or however you want to do it, and you list, I have a positive, every staff member, I have a positive relationship with this child, I have a positive relationship with this child. And not just I say hi in the hallway. I'm talking about a relationship. And so at the end of this exercise, you have a very visual representation of every kid in your building. And then when you see who has and doesn't have positive relationships, and these are loud and quiet students. The loud ones, we all know. That's inappropriate behavior, fighting, insubordination, those kinds of things. But it's the quiet kids that we have to be cognizant of too. Depression, anxiety, loneliness, those kinds of things. And so we're trying to be all-encompassing of all of our student needs. And so like I said, at the end of the process, you have every kid in your school mapped out how many relationships does this child have with adults. And then you can intervene and say, boy, we have some kids that don't have positive relationships at all. And so how are we going to address that as adults? When you're talking about teachers, this is what we do. Relationships is the foundation of what we do in education. And just that visual representation is going to be, I think, something that as a staff will respond to very well and intervene and say, okay, now what's our next step? So how are we going to address these 5 students that really don't have that positive connection, and how can we make sure that they are positively connected to school through that adult role model? So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be something that is really a very positive thing. The last thing I wanted to point out is if you haven't been to our new website, please check it out. Pam Brown, and I'd like to have her come at some point to a board meeting in the near future, and so we can recognize her and also have her show us around, take us on a little tour of the website. But she's done an awful lot of work to make sure that this is up and running for the beginning of the school year, and she's done a great job. We appreciate her very much. It continues to be a work in progress because these sort of things, we have a lot of information out on the web for parents, for anybody, for community members, whoever is interested. And transitioning that to accessible information is quite a chore. And she has worked many, many hours to make sure that that happens to the best that she can. So I'd like to recognize her just in thanking her, but also bring her here for all of you to recognize, and then to, like I said, take a little tour of the website. But if you haven't checked it out, aesthetically, very nice. And I think organizationally, it's very good. But aesthetically, it's a very pleasing site to look at. So that's what I had, unless there's questions.
Any questions for Rob? None? Moving on to board education. We have the Marzano self-reflection process. Joe, like to come forward?
Okay. Mr. Elect asked me to come in and just visit a little bit about the Marzano teacher evaluation and growth model that we are using. We're in the third year of this model. This is the first year that we will have all 60 elements in play in the evaluation and growth model. Each year, the staff are divided. Each principal has a cycle of rotation where a third of the staff receives a formal evaluation, a third of the staff does a peer observation, and a third of the staff does a self-reflection. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the self-reflection. That piece is just an opportunity where all 60 elements are listed, and there's indicators of where teachers see themselves in each of those 60 elements. They go through, review that, and then make a decision about 2 areas that they would like to see some professional growth for themselves in. They identify those 2 areas, talk to their building principal about, just consent with them to make sure that they're in agreement about what those areas should be. And then the teacher writes up a goal for each of those areas, a SMART goal that includes some things as far as what they want to obtain during that growth cycle, and when it's going to be measured, how it's going to be measured, and those types of things. So then they submit that to the building principal, and later on when typically after they get into the second semester before their formal evaluation, they review that document with the principal and see what kinds of growth that they have made, and just reflect on that a little bit. And that's pretty much the way the self-assessment works. And like I said, each year a different third of the staff is doing that self-reflection piece. Any questions?
Any questions for Joe, or?
Okay.
None?
All right.
Well, just going to comment that just to ensure that we're understanding the difference between observations and evaluations. We do evaluations, that's a separate thing than what we're talking. These are the observation components. What we found with the formals when we were doing every staff a formal, that's traditionally what you would, that's the pre-conference, post-conference, there's a 50-minute observation. That was very time intensive for both the teacher and the principal. And we felt that could be done on that 3-year rotation, which Joe was talking about. And the self-reflection and the peer observation was coming from our evaluation task force of how that could better be providing those observation times.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on that? If not, we'll move on to number 2. We have the Central Valley Health Report. Robin, would you like to come forward?
Good afternoon. There we go. Well, it's been a while since Central Valley has been here to talk about school nursing services, so we thought maybe it was time to kind of provide you short updates. So Central Valley has been doing school nursing since the 70s in Stutsman County, not me particularly, but others before me have been providing school nursing. And we are a county health department, so Stutsman and Logan counties. So we do provide school nursing to all the county schools in both Stutsman and Logan counties. And we have done that with money that we received from the federal government maternal child health grant. However, those grant funds went away a while back, and so we usually provide the services using our county mill levy dollars, or also when we provide immunizations and there's fees for those immunizations. Those are some of the things that help cover those services to all the county schools. And basically, all the schools receive school screening and school immunizations. We do, though, work differently with Jamestown Public Schools because we have an MOU with you, and you provide us with additional funds to staff a nurse part-time here in Jamestown. And that is Angie Almer, and she's been with us since 2010, and she's going to talk here in a little bit. And spell out kind of what she does for the schools. I did provide you with a handout in front of you with what I'm talking about today, and also two other handouts. Central Valley was awarded a Partnership for Success grant, and there's like over $400,000 that's available to address underage drinking in Stutsman and Logan counties. And we have a coordinator, Shannon Kaiser, and we have a coalition that meets to address this issue, and your school is representative as well on that coalition. And we're into the implementation phase, which is next, where we'll actually be able to hopefully put some programs in place or some activities to help address underage drinking. A lot of it will be public education, possibly changing a social host ordinance in our city, looking at server training, those policy-related issues that can help prevent kids from drinking, and that's really what our goal is. However, one of the things that we've asked the schools to do is complete some additional surveys, and you did that for us last year. And as we roll forward, we may be able to pay the schools for those additional surveys that are completed, and then that money is open to you to use however you would choose to use it. So there wouldn't be any guidelines to the grant other than providing us with the survey and the results of that survey. So we'll be working with you more to do that. In front of you are a couple handouts. I didn't have quite enough to go all the way around, but these are some North Dakota statistics and data regarding behaviors, especially substance abuse, alcohol, tobacco, and drugs in North Dakota based on adult and youth activities. And then there's another little newspaper there as well that provides some of that information. So I just wanted to give you an update about that before we move forward. So I'm going to ask Angie to come up and tell you a little bit more about what she does. But before I do that, are there any other questions financially that you might want to ask?
I have one question for you, Robin.
Sure.
The statistics in this handout here, I mean, where do those surveys come from? Or does that come from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey?
Yes, they do
Okay.
statewide, and then adult behavior risk surveys that are
Okay.
done by CDC.
Okay.
Yes.
Any other questions for Robin?
I guess I should also mention that I sort of forget that we also provide you with a education provider at the vocational school, and that's Deb Fisher. She rarely darkens our door at Central Valley because she spends most of her time up at the school teaching the classes there, and I believe you added one last year, and so she's very busy with that as well. But that is another contractual obligation that we provide to you. So, all right, with that, I'll ask Angie to come up.
Good evening, Superintendent-elect Mr. Hout, members of the board. I'm Angie Almer, and I do represent the school nursing aspect, so I'm the one that actually enters the schools and provides the nursing services. So in front of you, like Robin had mentioned, is a little outline on what we actually do, and this came from the superintendent's report. So it's what has been compiled from what work I've done last year during the school year. So in 2016-2017 school year, the total school contacts that I had at the Jamestown Public School level I had 587 nursing visits. So what that would actually look like, that could be staff, that could be students, but they had come to me and they had asked for some help. And that's the type of service I provide, whether it be a first aid issue, whether it be they just want to visit about a health issue, or just need somebody to talk to. That's what those numbers represent. 827 health screenings. So we do vision screenings for the kids in the grade school level. So 827 kids pass through us. We do flu shots at school, which has been a fantastic program that has been started. 431 kids and staff took advantage of the immunizations at school to be protected from the flu. We did 36 other immunizations, so that would include tetanus, the meningitis, the required shots, plus some needed to catch up on hepatitis A, or just others that are not required for school but are recommended. So we were able to help kids out with that too, with parental consent. We do health education. There are 584 staff and students that took part in health education. Beginning now, we're just entering the schools and we're doing in-services on what to do if you have a medical emergency at school. And so I'm helping to in-service some of the staff so they are a little bit more comfortable, more competent on what to do if there's a medical emergency. So the school screening that we talk about for vision at the grade school level, we actually purchased a machine called the Plus Optics. So it's a non-invasive machine. All it requires is that the child gaze for a few moments into something the size of a object that would fit in between my fingers here. So it's non-invasive, it's not scary. All they need to do is fixate on it for a few moments, and it would take a reading, and it would give us an idea if they need a referral or not. If we find that they need a referral, we send them to the appropriate optometrist in town. In addition to our staff using the machine, we actually have Jamestown College or University of Jamestown nursing students that come and aid us with that process. School-based immunizations. We do offer families the opportunity to have their child immunized at school. Parents do give prior consent before the child comes in, and we're able to immunize them with or without the parent being there, depending on their preference. And generally, most of these parents appreciate that convenience that's provided. School visits. The middle and high schools, I visit 3 to 4 times a week. Each elementary school, I give them 1 day a week that I'm able to come. Our nursing staff does keep themselves available, especially by phone if anything does arise during the school day, which it does with a district this large. So generally what happens is they call and they're put in touch with one of the nurses if I'm not available, and we at least at the minimum talk them through the situation, and if it does require that we go out to the school to check it out and to help, we try to do that the best that we can accommodate. If we're unable to help them, our backup plan, call mom and dad. If it's something very serious in nature, we do suggest they do utilize 911. During the school year, there's been a strong collaboration with schools to meet needs of children who have special medical needs. There's folks who have some very serious needs, diabetics, asthma, allergies. There's some very serious issues at school. Kids are more and more fragile that are coming into the school system, as you know, and so they have a lot higher medical needs. So we've been working with the schools on a specific case-by-case basis in order to accommodate for these needs. We provide growth and development education at the 4th and 5th grade level, so giving a familiarity to the way that their bodies are changing. And we also work very close with secretaries and IT staff so that we're able to keep up with the Power School registration as far as if there's immunizations, we record that in the Power School system. We also record office visits in the Power School system. So we make use of that. Any questions?
Greg?
The, excuse me, the immunizations that you do at the schools, is this the first year that you've started that? Have you done that in the past?
No, we've done that in the past. Yeah, we've done that in the past.
And are these numbers about the same, or?
You'll see a large uptake some years and decline some years, so it waxes and wanes.
Bob, you had a question?
Do we still have issues with secretaries having to give out a lot of prescription medications, and do you help with I know it's impossible for you to be in every school. I know that. I'm not asking that. But do they talk to you or if they have questions, do you help them a little bit with that?
Absolutely. Every single school has got a long list of children who are on prescription medications and a lot of paperwork that goes along with that, and very little understanding on what medication that they need to be dispensing. So always they come to, and they ask questions, which I appreciate, and I'm glad they do, and I highly encourage that they ask. It helps them understand a little bit better what they're doing for the child and what to expect if something were to go wrong, too.
Rob, you got a comment?
And we do have policy that governs medication dispensation, and one of those requirements is that the secretaries or those dispensing medication be trained. We do that. We did that and continue to do that for those that haven't received the training through Moorhead, and I believe Central Valley did some support with that also.
Yep.
I just want to give a little plug for, with Greg's question with the immunization. Amy and Central Valley, they've been a really good partner to help make sure that we're communicating with families that need immunizations to make sure that all the paperwork is completed throughout the state of North Dakota. Ensuring that immunization or the waiver take place it's a significant issue. Issue isn't the right word. It's a significant undertaking to ensure that all of that takes place, and really between both the central office and Central Valley Health, a lot of kids are getting, a lot of families are being communicated with to ensure that they're getting the immunizations and understanding what the process is to get the immunization, and if there is then a religious objection, that they fill out the paperwork appropriately.
One question I have, Angie, is with the vision, is that all students that have that screening, or is it does a teacher notice that the student has an ability or inability to see something and goes through that, or?
Sure. No, we try to screen all of them.
All of them,
Yeah,
okay.
We try our best.
Okay. Heidi?
And back to the immunization too, you guys do a great job too of informing parents and, giving enough notice of the dates and so forth. That's always helpful. And those forms you can download online. Also, just want to, and it is, Mr. Luck, it's our responsibility, right, to track all these immunizations as well?
That is one of the many responsibilities that Amy does in our office, and track from our students to home education. We have a lot of responsibilities to ensure that statutory requirement is fulfilled. And I have to say, when you compare Jamestown to many other districts, the percentage and very, very few students that we're trying to track down and getting that, I think is a really pretty representative of the work that people have done, whether it's communicating or phone calls or whatever communication needs to take place to ensure that those things get done. But it is a lot of hours in people's professional life that gets devoted to that particular issue.
And I can just mention as well, so North Dakota has an immunization registry where all the kids' immunizations are tracked. And so we have the ability to get reports from that of who's behind. And so then we call people along the way throughout the year as well. So when we're also looking for kids that have moved out of the area so that our rates don't look as bad because they're no longer our problem, I guess. They've moved on. So then, we can take them off of our list. So that helps the school as well to make sure the kids are up to date.
Any other questions for him? No? Oh, Greg? Yep.
And, how's the cost, for the immunizations? Because you have, some kids that may not be able to afford some of the costs. How do you work with that?
Sure. North Dakota has a Vaccine for Children's program. So children's vaccines are covered if they do not have insurance, if they're on Medicaid, if there's other stipulations that they have, they can qualify for the free vaccine. And then we charge an administration fee, which if they can't pay, we would just waive that fee as well. Other than that, most insurance companies cover immunizations very well, and they would cover them.
Okay. Thanks for coming. Thanks for the information. Moving on to old business. We have a motion to approve the revision of the 2017-18 school calendar. Motion by Brenda, seconded by Cedric. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to number 2, is there a motion to approve the board committees? Motion by Bob, seconded by Brenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have nothing under activities. Moving into finance. Is there a motion to approve the occupational therapy agreement for the 17-18 school year? Motion by Jennifer. Seconded by Bob. Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter B, motion to approve the monthly financials. Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Heidi. Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. What's that? Oh, yeah. Yep.
Sorry, did I have her on?
Moving to personnel, is there a motion to approve the contract for Melissa Brass for the 2017-18 school year as Title I instructor at the St. John's Academy at a salary of $24,327.50? Motion by Heidi, seconded by Cedric.
That's what happens when the superintendent doesn't have enough oversight. Wrong name.
Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter B, is there a motion to approve the extended school year contract for Anthony Roth for one additional Spanish class at a salary of $6,964.17, salary to be adjusted upon the completion of negotiations? Motion by Brenda, seconded by Greg. Any discussion? Yep, Jennifer?
Is this at the high school level?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter C. Oh, Heidi?
Since we're on the topic of Spanish here, we'll be offering that Spanish in the middle school as well, like, that did work out, right? We had a discussion about that, or the world languages.
Correct. We have, with Kim Jorison coming down to the middle level, we were able to offer Spanish 1 at the 8th grade level.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Also needs to be, salary to be adjusted upon pushing the negotiations, just so the board is aware.
Okay, yep. Moving to letter C, is there a motion to approve the extended school year contract for Claudia Wolf for one additional nutrition and food prep class at a salary of $11,114.79 and salary to be adjusted upon completion of negotiations? Motion by Bob, seconded by Brenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sorry about that, Jennifer. You can get the next one. Okay. Moving to letter D, is there a motion to approve the extended school year contract for Robert Thorson for one additional construction tech 1 class at a salary of $11,114.79, salary to be adjusted upon completion of the negotiations? Motion by Jennifer, seconded by Cedric or Steve. Any discussion? Hearing none, assuming roll call vote, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to policy and procedures, under A, is there a motion to approve the first reading of the procedures for adopting board policy BDA? Motion by Cedric. Seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter B, we have the first reading of the wellness policy ABCC and the subsequent C, D, and E underneath that. Motion by Greg. Seconded by Steve. Any discussion? Jennifer?
Was there supposed to be a board person on this wellness committee? When I read the first paragraph, I wasn't sure, or is it just that if they were to make any policy changes, it would be brought to us? I just wanted a quick clarification there.
Yep, the committee itself makes recommendations to the board in terms of the wellness policy.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Going to letter F, is there a motion to approve the first reading of the Citizens Advisory Committee Policy BDBC? Motion by Brenda. Seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter G, is there a motion to rescind the staff conduct, professional conduct, code of conduct for staff coaches advisory policy DE? Motion by Jennifer. Seconded by Heidi. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter H, is a motion to approve the first reading of staff code of conduct policy DE. Motion by Greg, seconded by Brenda. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter I, is there a motion to approve the first reading of the amendment carry weapons policy FFD? Motion by Jennifer. Seconded by Cedric. Any discussion? Greg?
Thank you. I'm sure that you'll take the time when that comes up to deal with it, but on that item D, when it talks about dangerous weapons, it says any other object that a student use, attempt to use, or intended to use to threaten or intimidate, cause destruction to property, or to cause injury to self or others. So I'm assuming that's something that you're going to, on a case-by-case basis, decide what fits into that category.
Yeah, we work in those kind of instances, that's kind of the broader area, because things that are not weapons could be used as weapons. And we use that absolutely, like you said, on a case-by-case basis. We work with the building principal, we'll work with the school resource officer, police department, depending on what issue we're dealing with, to look at how that's being used and, to ensure that people are safe, so.
And the only point I wanted to make is that I'm glad that that was in there because you just never know what some kid might pick up, and I'm just glad that that was part of this. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter J, is there a motion to approve the second reading of the amendment section 504 dispute resolution policy AACA? Motion by Brenda, seconded by Bob. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to number 7, we have under tuitions, if it's all right with the board, if we could have a motion to approve the tuition agreement for the two first graders, a third grader, a ninth grader, and a 12th grader to attend Montpelier Public School for the 2017-18 school year. They're A, B, D, and E. Motion by Greg, seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter C then, is there a motion to approve the tuition agreement for a 11th grade Barnes County North student to attend Jamestown Public School for the 2017-18 school year? Motion by Brenda, seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to number 8, under handbooks, is there a motion to approve the activity guide and code of conduct for parents and students for the 17-18 school year? Motion by Greg, seconded by Brenda. Any discussion?
Just the
Jennifer?
date on the front page needs to be updated. I noticed it was still for last year. The title's correct, but the actual date is incorrect.
On what page is that? Oh, on the cover.
Thank you. We'll get it changed.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter B, is there a motion to approve the athletic handbook and direction of end coaches for 2017-18? Motion by Heidi. Seconded by Jennifer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving to letter C, is there a motion to the approval of the elementary secretary handbook for 17-18 school year? Motion by Cedric. Seconded by Brenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Roman numeral 4, items for future agenda. Jennifer?
I'd be interested to hear how this road mapping went from the teachers.
Relationship mapping?
Yeah, the relationship map, sorry. And then there's some stuff going on at the high school. I hear some buzzwords with the teachers, a new kind of happening in their home rooms.
Yep.
I'd love to hear more about that instead of fun little buzzes.
Sure. And that's actually a grant fund, the 7 Mindsets. It was actually a grant opportunity that Mr. Gaylor pursued. And absolutely it was one of the things that we talked about, him coming and visiting with us a little bit. But yeah, absolutely, we can do both of those.
Okay. Bob?
I noticed we had the ESG report in here, and I think it's been a long time since we've had anyone from ESG come out and I don't know if that's the right company anymore, but it is, okay. Okay, just to have someone, maybe the next quarter, to come out and talk about how they're perceiving it.
Yep. Good idea. Anything else, Heidi?
Maybe in October, we could have Amy Walters come and talk about track as well, and some of the opportunities and the buses and all those kinds of things, and the use of space.
It's another good item, too. And if something does come up in the meantime, just let myself or Rob know, and we'll get it on the agenda. So, moving to Roman numeral 5, we have meetings to be scheduled. We have the staff breakfast tomorrow morning up at the high school commons at 7:30. And then we have a school board meeting on Tuesday, September 5th at 5:15 here in the Thompson Room. And we have not heard back from our fact-finding committee, so we don't have executive session tonight. Moving to Roman numeral 7, remind everybody to do the superintendent evaluation, number 2, 4. Yep.
Just one item too, for those that are watching, the board did approve that change to the calendar, so you can expect to see that coming out here shortly on our website. We'll be able to download those, and also we'll blast them out through our app and all of our communication tools, but to make sure that we adjust our schedules 1 week later, October 4th, for that early dismissal instead of September 27th.
One other thing, before we adjourn, to make sure you right-click on your adjournment to assess the meeting also. No further business, the meeting's adjourned. Yep, whenever we find out, though. Once we find out, we'll send out a doodle